Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out to one of our 2018 parent information meetings. Thank you to those that are watching online and on your TV. Tonight's really a Q&A session about our program, and we'd like to be able to answer any questions that come up, as well as just give you a quick overview of what we're doing here. So, we'll start up with our first slide here. Again, like this to be more of a discussion when we can, but I'm going to run through it pretty quickly. Tonight's goal is, again, tell you about our program, answer any and all questions, and go from there. A little bit of history. We're starting our 12th year here in Villa Park. We were a program started by varsity football coaches at Willowbrook High School at the time. And we're given a donation from the Willowbrook Athletic Booster Club and from Matt Roth, a graduate of Willowbrook, who at the time had just been signed into the NFL by the Cleveland Browns. They made matching donations, and we took that seed money and started our program. We are the official feeder program of Willowbrook High School. Based out of there, we store our equipment there. Most of our teams will practice there. All of our home games are played in the stadium at Willowbrook High School. We enjoy a very close relationship with the school, and like to do as much with them that we can. We support their programs heavily, as well as them supporting us back. We are a 100% volunteer program. It's run by your neighbors, your friends, people you might know in the neighborhood. I've been involved all 12 years. I missed the very first meeting that the Warriors had, but I've been to every one of them since, basically, and have held some position in the program all 12 of its years. And we're in a little bit of a transition right now with some newer folks joining our board this year, and some of our longtime participants have graduated out. Their kids have either come out of the program or even graduating high school that have stuck around. So we're looking to get a little bit younger. And so if you are going to get involved with us, we'd like to welcome you to try and see if there's a position for you within the organization to help out. Big one these days in the media is football safety. We all here obviously believe that there's a lot of great lessons and values that you can pick up by being a football player or a cheerleader. Both of our sports are physically active sports. Football is a collision sport. Unfortunately, at times cheerleading can be too. So we take the safety for both of those programs very seriously. The way we would address those things to try and make sure we're keeping our kids as safe as we can is through extensive training of our coaches. All of our coaches go through video training every year where they have to renew their familiarity with methods and means of teaching these days, what's acceptable in football right now in regards to contact, levels of contact, how many times a week should a football team be having full contact versus going half speed, or trying to make sure that we're keeping our head out of the game as much as possible. The cheerleading coaches go through training as well, and we have levels of, I don't know what's the best way to say this, the levels of like the training's, I want to overuse the word training, but our football operations director also doubles as our safety director. Thank you very much. Player safety coach through USA Football. He gets certified. Actually, one of our vice presidents will be taking that over this year. Rich Thomas will become our player safety coach. He goes through another level of training, and he's able to then train coaches on site and oversees that things are being handled in a correct, safe manner. Concussions. It's the big word right now out there. And the way that we handle that is they happen. They're going to happen. They happen in football. They happen in baseball. They happen riding your skateboard. They happen riding your bike. They could happen walking down the stairs here at the Villa Park Library if you were to trip and bump your head. It's how you handle them once they happen. It's recognition, making sure that a player is taken off of the field immediately, diagnosed by a medical professional, and you go from there. And making sure that the player is fully healed if they are diagnosed with one before they are come back and allowed to play. We have an entire protocol for that, a written program that every parent is given at the time of registration. We ask that they read it. We ask that they sign off saying that they have read it, and we strictly adhere to it. The next point that the media is really jumping on these days is CTE issues with players, and that is a syndrome that is in some studies shown to be happening from repetitive small hits to your head, and with that repetitive hitting, the brain builds up certain bad proteins, and you do come away with what could be a brain injury. The studies that are out there these days, though, are basically being performed on NFL players that are easily 10, 15, 20 years into their football career if they had been playing as a child. And the amount of hitting that they have done and at the speeds they have had it happen to them over and over and over again from the time they were basically in high school up through college and then the NFL can lead to this problem. It has not been shown to be an issue with youth football players. But to continue to be safe and pull this out of the game, we are teaching our coaches, and again, teaching all of our players to play hands out. Get your hands out there. We're using our shoulders to tackle. We're teaching techniques to get our head out of the game. You are no longer being taught to, use this to tackle or use your nose to tackle. A long time ago when I was playing youth football, that's what we were taught, and that has changed greatly. It's a completely different game now. The game is safer than it ever has been. And more we see studies are coming out, as well as medical professionals making those claims. I saw one this morning by a doctor that's affiliated with Ohio State University who came right out and she said that football, the way it's being taught right now, is just safer than it ever has been. Now that we understand what's happening with these injuries, we're able to address them. We're able to teach the children better so that they but try and avoid these issues. And I cannot tell you any more about it than that. If it were to happen, we take care of it. So after that, we have a new announcement for 2018. If you so choose, we have flag football all the way up through 6th grade. So we used to have flag football just for kindergartners and first graders. We've expanded that program now, so now that you have a choice. We need to evolve just as the game is evolving, and so along those lines, and to get kids excited about football, because that is one of our primary goals, get them to love the game so that they would like to play in high school or maybe even beyond. But along that line, to evolve, we have started our older age flag program this year. It's a new program. We currently have about 40, Charlie?
I believe so, yes.
About 40 children signed up so far of varying ages. And we'll be taking those registrations all the way up through July, really, when we start. So that's new for us this year. Our flag football program is an in-house program. All games will be played at Willowbrook High School in the stadium on Sundays. It's an 8-week season, and the practices are 2 times a week. Again, also at Willowbrook High School. The information on that is on our website. So if you're interested in flag football or tackle football, please go to our website and check it out. Our facilities in our tackle league, again, our flag is in-house. What that means is all games are played here with other kids within our program. We don't travel, we don't play against other towns. This is all an in-house program for our flag. But our tackle program is part of the TCYFL, the Chicago Land Youth Football League. TCYFL is the largest independent football league in the country. It now is up to 49 towns in and around Chicago that are involved. And they range from Kenosha to Plainfield and everywhere in between. Some people will say, well, geez, I got to take my 10-year-old son and drive up to Kenosha. Yeah, maybe, but it's one Sunday out of the year, and these days, if your child's involved in any sort of activity, it doesn't matter if it's sports, dance, whatever, we're going all over the place for these things anyways. But as I pointed out here on the screen, last year's away opponents included Schaumburg, Oak Park, Mount Prospect, South Elgin, Berwyn, Elmwood Park, Elgin, Des Plaines, all towns in a reasonable distance for travel. Now, they also did include Libertyville, Huntley, Mundelein. But again, the destinations that we're going to, 90% of the programs in the league play out of a high school. So your child's playing in a high school stadium. For those programs that do play out of public parks, there's some pretty nice parks. They have some pretty good setups there. New towns to our league for 18, they might have come in 17 or 18, again, Mount Prospect. Riverside Brookfield just joined the program. South Elgin was new last year. Wildwood Park, which is in the northwest side of the city around Peterson and the Eaton's Expressway. And Westchester has a team coming in this year. So more and more teams that are in the local area are joining our league. Why are they joining the TCYFL? Because we're very, very proactive. Safety is the top concern of the league. It's the reason that our program switched to this league, I believe it's 4 or 5 seasons ago. This might be our 5th season with TCYFL. Yeah. They value that. The top administration of the league is involved with USA Football and the NFL. So we have a voice directly from our league that talks to the top officials that are seeing teams and leagues from all around the country. Again, TCYFL is very proactive. I can relate a story that right now the league is debating a rule that will be voted on next month regarding kickoffs and should we keep them in the game, shouldn't we? I've sat in on a few different committee meetings regarding this issue, and so it's always being looked at so that we can evolve our game, make sure it's as safe as we can make it for the kids. And with that being the TCYFL's mantra is really something that we want to be affiliated with. And it's been a good partnership so far. Great competition for our boys. The kids that have played against this level of competition have come out and done great things when they continued on in high school. I'm proud to say a lot of the participants in the last 2 playoff teams for Willowbrook High School that made their great runs, a majority of those players were Willow Park Warrior football players. Next is our cheer program. I want to kind of go over that. So a few quick basics, and then I'll bring up our cheer coordinator. She can do a quick little talk about the season and how that's going to flow this year. We are part of the IRCA. Remind me.
Illinois Recreational Cheer Association.
Illinois Recreational Cheer Association. I always get caught up by the R. That's the one that gets me. Again, they are a big, huge proponent of safety, as are we. That's why we're involved with them. Practice games and competitions. Our practices this year are all at Willowbrook High School. All the girls will be located there for both outdoor and indoor practices. For games this year, our girls will not travel to away games. Their competition season has grown a little bit. I think we're going to be doing some extra competing this year. And so to have those girls be able to concentrate on their routines while still being involved with the football, we've made a decision to just have the girls cheer at home games. So there's a lot less travel for the girls that have been traveling in the past to away games. And competitions, like I said, we're going to be doing a few more of those. But I would like to bring up Heather Kane, our cheer coordinator, and she can kind of go over the season and the competitions and how that's.
Hi, I'm Heather. I'm the cheer coordinator for Mill Park Warriors cheer program. With CRCA, they are the big facilitators for our competition guidelines, our safety regulations, and all of our coaching standards. They offer every year, our coaches have the opportunity that I've taken upon as well as myself to go and re-educate ourselves with the evolving stances and regulations of cheer. In the last couple of years, we've, per safety reasons, no longer allow girls under the grade of 6 to do basket tosses. For safety reasons, the girls aren't strong enough, their bones aren't matured enough, and a lot of their joints haven't fully matured either. So to limit some of those risks to the actual body structure, we prevent them from being able to hurt themselves and take that out of the game. We teach from our very basic at kindergarten level all the way to 8th grade level, your basics of how to load a stunt, how to properly do jumps, how to properly stretch, warm up, cool down, as well as teaching the fundamentals of just a basic cheer routine, whether it's for a sideline cheer at a football game at a halftime, all the way to learning an entire routine to go and compete, whether it's at our base level competitions or going all the way to state. State is local. It's right here in Illinois. It's at the Sears Center. That's the big one that the girls go and compete at smaller competitions to try and earn a bid. Once they've earned a bid, which we've had quite a few teams in the past do, they get to go and compete against other teams and local organizations that are within the Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. And when they go to compete, they have the opportunity while at state, if they place top 3, to move on to the second day and then place for that first through third. It's one of those things that we try to strive towards, but it's not necessarily our ultimate goal. Our ultimate goal is to make sure that we are building athletes that are strong, independent team players, learning all those skills of just being on a team, as well as getting them to love and appreciate the sport of cheer. And doing things properly to get them to that high school level, and if they're looking at to join a high school team or go beyond, making sure they have those base skills throughout the years to get themselves there, as well as working with the high school and making sure that we have all of our girls prepared and ready when it comes to their 8th grade year and trying out for the first time for a team in May, and that they know what the expectations are. They know where the school is, they know what the coaches are looking for, they know the facilities, so it makes it a little easier for them when they do make that jump into high school from the grade school, middle school, and on. The other nice part is because we are associated with the high school, we do a lot of things. We make sure that we are doing the parades for like the homecoming, which is really nice for the girls to be able to see the older girls and have that connection, as well as doing a warrior night where we show appreciation to our parents, but the girls get to see what the high schoolers do.
4th of July.
We also do the 4th of July parade. That's one of our performances, as well as we do a Warrior Fest in August, which kind of kickstarts our entire season. That's when the girls get to kind of show off some of their sideline cheers, sometimes the fight song if we've gotten through with all of our little ones to the older ones. And it's a great way for the community to be able to see them and for them to start experiencing being in front of crowds and showing off their performances, whether it's just a simple like, 1, 2, 3 type cheer or something more extravagant with some stunts. Some other things that we do is we do fundraising. We got a car wash coming up this summer. We've got some sip and paint parties, an Enchanted Castle night for families. So it's not just about the parents, it's also about the kids, and that's our main focus. Any questions?
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
So at this point, talk a little bit about our goals, our principles that we want to instill both in our program and in the kids that play for us. Jump to the bottom. Our philosophy is try to win, try our best to win, without compromising our principles and goals. So, principles and goals, we want to give as great an experience to our players that we can. That's always been goal number 1. We'd like to, as best we can, provide them with top-notch equipment. We have a great place for them to play, and we like their experience to be as great as it can be. We're trying to get them to love this game and understand the value of it and what they can learn from it. We want to teach football and cheerleading in a competitive situation, but include all the participants. If you are a Villa Park Warrior, cheerleader, or football player, you are playing, you are participating, you are in the games, 100% going to be having playing time, playing for us. This is not the NFL. This is not major college football. We're just trying to get your kid to learn the game a little bit, have some fun, make some friends, and have a good time. And that hopefully by extension, you and your family are having a good time. We want to be a positive influence. Again, our coaching staff is fully vetted to make sure that they are doing the best that they can with the kids, addressing the situations on an individual basis with each child. You know, as a parent, I have 4 kids, and we all know when you're a parent, you got to take each child in a different way. You know, so when you're a head coach and you've got 16, 18 boys out there, you've got to be able to handle each one differently. And you know, if one of your boys is having a bad day, something went wrong at school, something's wrong at home, we want a person out there that's responsible enough to understand that. Maybe take him to the side, throw your arm around his shoulder and say, hey, what's going on? Make sure that things are as good as they can be for him. And if he needs help with something, be there for him. You know, we want to make this, again, fun, positive, be a great experience. Lastly, meet new friends and have fun. Nothing brings young boys together like being on a football team. Nothing brings girls together like being on a cheer squad. It takes 11 guys on the field to make a play go right. It takes an entire team to make sure that they're ready that week for that game. It takes an entire squad of cheerleaders to make sure a routine goes well. It's the greatest lesson that we can provide through these activities is how to work with others. How to best work with a team, how to stand next to someone and say, okay, you're going to do your part of this, I'm going to do my job to make this work, and we get that going together. And it's beautiful to see it. When we watch a team play in week 1, and we watch them again in week 9, and try and compare, it's always incredible how much these kids have learned. So that's really what we're trying to do. We're doing that through football and cheerleading. Our slogan, we are warriors, we are family. Beyond the field and competition floor, this is our organization, this is your organization. Yes, I've been involved for a very, very long time. A lot of people will identify with Warrior Youth Football with myself, or maybe Jeff Taylor or Gene Taylor or Ed Dowling, some of our longtime participants. But this is really your organization. And so once you're in, you have a voice. We want to hear from you. We want to talk to you. We want to discuss things. We want to understand what needs to be done for your child. Again, we like to look at each one as an individual and see how we can fit them into our team. We ask that you be involved when you become one of our families. There's a small amount of volunteer time that you have to donate to our program. We try and keep our cost as low as we possibly can. We're pretty effective at that. But along those lines, we need some help. You know, we might ask you to work a booth where you're selling some spiritware. We might ask you to come to the Year of the End banquet a little bit early and help us distribute programs. There's all kinds of ways you can volunteer. You don't just, you know, not just coaching or being a team mom. There's other ways that you can help our organization, and we need help. This takes a tremendous effort to make sure that this goes well. I always like to point out this picture. This is Vic Wisner, is the man there. He's a coach at Willowbrook High School. He's also one of our founders. He was one of those varsity coaches 12 years ago that helped found the program. And that's his son, Troy. Troy has been a participant with us for 4 years, 3 years? 3 years. And continues on to this day. And so I like to talk about Vic when he's on there, because again, he was one of the guys that really got the ball rolling on this for us. And it's in his blood. His father used to run Villa Park football back in the 70s and 80s. So he was very excited to get to help start the program, and I'm very proud that he's still involved with us, still helping and coaching through his son up to today. Lastly on there is some of the events. Heather kind of touched on it. We do have a big pool party before the season starts. Our picture day is a big celebration day. You know, put on uniforms, get out there, look good, and have a little fun. Our scrimmage jamboree, we invite other towns out to the week before our regular season would start. It's a big day at the stadium. It's an all-day event with other towns that come in, and we get to practice a little bit against somebody else. After 3.5 weeks of playing against each other, it's nice to see somebody else out there. Our Warrior Night, that's a big introduction night. That's in conjunction with the high school and District 88. District 88 has joined with us to make it a big night for them as well. They introduce all their fall sports teams, and then the varsity football team will scrimmage that evening, and at the midway point, they don't really want to call it halftime, but the midway point of that, the varsity will take a break, and we'll take that time to introduce each and every one of our kids out on the field. Our cheer squad will do a quick
We do 3 cheers, sideline
three sideline cheers, thank you, that's what I couldn't remember. 3 sideline cheers that evening, and with the high school girls alongside, cheering them along. And then lastly, the one on the bottom is our fundraisers, as Charlie Marisi likes to call them. Charlie's in charge of our fundraisers. Charlie's one of our vice presidents. Does a great job for us. And thank you to those in the past that have participated in all these great events. But we have our Warrior Fest. This year is August 4th at the gazebo over here. I'm pointing them at the library tonight, so it's right over there. I'm looking out the window at it. That's a night where we have a DJ come out, some live bands. We have a food area, a beer tent, a bouncy house for the kids, a dunk tank where yours truly will be in there, as well as some other local celebrities, so to speak, so you can get some revenge. My wife likes that one a lot.
This year we will have a car show along with it.
And we will have a car show going on at the same time. Bingo nights, that's a new one for us. We've had one, we're going to have a couple more. Dining dashes at various restaurants around town. If you go in there and say I'm part of the Warriors group, we get a nice little payment from the restaurant back, as well as some of our themed parent nights events, some of the local establishments. So that's kind of what we do during the season and who we are. Yes?
One thing I would have you add is maybe talk about the punt, pass, and kick that we're going to have June 2nd.
Yes. New this year will be a punt, pass, and kick competition. This is open to anybody. You do not have to be a Warrior player. We'd like it if you thought about signing up. Or a Warrior cheerleader. We have both boys and girls divisions. Any age up through 8th grade. You'll compete that day at Willowbrook High School, June 2nd, 9 a.m.
From 9 to 3, we're going to tier it. Well, you'll see announcements coming out.
You'll see announcements coming out on our website, but that'll be on June 2nd at Willowbrook High School. If you are lucky enough to be a winner of one of our levels, you can go on and compete then at our leagues competition, which will be later in the fall.
Our cheer team will have a little bit of a show in the middle of the afternoon.
Okay, so early afternoon on that same day, June 2nd, we will have our some of our cheer teams out doing a performance at that point. So this last slide, again, thank you for taking the time to watch this. Thank you for coming out here. Our contact information, if you have any questions, the best way is our website, vpwarriors.com. It has all the information on there. It's a great website, completely redesigned a year ago by our IT director, Serco Srabonian. He's done a great job for us. A lot of information on there. If you're interested in registering, you can get the process started there. There's everyone's contact information on there. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or any of our people an email. And that's it, unless there's anything else I've missed. Yes?
Bill, recently I saw a notice about a discussion at the state level where they were talking about the future of youth football sports.
Yes.
And I know participants from the league attended.
Yes.
Can you talk about the takeaway from that event?
Well, there were a few different events. One was a debate that was set up with our president of the TCYFL, Jeff Meyer, who is grew up in Villa Park, went to Willowbrook High School. But he set up a debate with Carol Senti, the representative based out of Vernon Hills, who introduced the bill down in Springfield. They each brought members of a panel. both medical professionals as well as football professionals from different aspects of the game, and had a open forum / debate where they talked about the safety concerns with youth football these days. Representative Senti's bill that she is proposing would have eliminated tackle football in the state of Illinois for any child 12 years old and younger. And
Is that 6th grade level?
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
6th grade and down. And that bill has been proposed around the country as well. It's currently being looked at in California, New Jersey, Maryland, New York State as well. But most of the states have already removed that bill from their docket. And as a result of the debate that was held last month, Representative Senti has decided to pull that bill from the docket for the representatives coming up here shortly with the state. What they're finding out is a few things. Mainly, the choice for what your child should participate in should be left to the parent was the main message that she was receiving, both at that debate and outside of that. I've had some separate meetings with Jeff Meyer where we discussed what he and her had been going back and forth with, and those two have had a long-term relationship. They actually worked together with the IHSA a few years back to work on what the contact limits should be at the high school level, considering that our league had instituted it 3 years prior. Jeff was able to speak with it with some data behind it to how that limited injuries and things, but it's kind of a sidebar. So there's a long-standing relationship there, and so with Carol's feedback from both the debate and what Jeff was bringing to her, she understood there wasn't a lot of public support for it. There's a lot of popular support, and it makes for a good headline. But at the end of the day, parents should be able to choose for their children what they feel is right. Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you do give parents that choice within the league by
Yes.
having that now flag option
Yes, we do.
up to 6th grade level,
Yes, sir.
which is the same thing, same age.
It's the same age. We proposed that, we started that before Representative Senti had put that to the floor. Again, I said it earlier, the evolution of the game is going that way. You know, we want to be at the forefront in everything we can involved with this game. And right now, people want the option. They want to be able to say, can my child play flag, can my child play tackle, whatever I like, and we want to provide that option to you with our organization. So,
That's great, that's great. I have a question for Heather.
yeah.
Heather, you mentioned during your portion that there would be more competitions, or at least, I'm sorry, Bill said that in
Yeah.
talking about not having the cheer teams travel, that they would be involved in more competitions. Can you talk a little bit about those other than the state competition that was at the Sears Center?
So our kindergarten through 3rd grade don't do the IRCA competitions because we just want to get them used to the understanding of what a competition is, and give them a little bit more time to learn and build those skills. So K through 3 does an exhibition cheer competition at the high school. It's done through one of the local organizations' cheer programs, and that's just to get them that feeling on the floor and how to do things. Our 4th through 8th grade, they're local areas. Usually it's local high schools that run the competitions. This year, they're starting a little bit earlier. Normally we don't start until like the middle of October for competitions. This year, we're being allowed to start as early as the first weekend, or the last weekend in September. And that one's called a first look, and that's one that we're looking into going to, because with that, they are allowing our teams to actually sit down with one of the head judges and discuss how our routines are going, making sure the safety is being met, making sure that the girls are learning where they need to be learning and that we're not pushing them too far, but we're also allowing them to expand their abilities. So with that said, normally we only do 2 competitions, and this year we might be, for some of the older squads, doing 3. And then if they do earn their bids from any one of those, they'll have that option to go on to state.
Some of the sports, other than football, do their own invitational events, tournaments, whatever they might be. Like, for example, a baseball tournament, double elimination kind of format. Have you ever considered that, given that we have a venue here in town, not only Willowbrook High School, but the Odeum, to do something like what they do with Sears Center?
There's that option. Unfortunately, with IRCA, that's something that they go and they discuss with local high schools, and if they want to do that. For us, we do allow for a showcase that we do at the high school. Last year was our first time where the parents got to come, grandmas, grandpas, aunts, and uncles who might not be able to go to those actual competitions the girls compete in. And they were able to come and actually see our girls, as well as them getting the experience of having that full dress, being announced out. If music doesn't start, doesn't play when it's supposed to, getting them through that adjustment without being in front of a big crowd and a judge panel.
One of the performances at the Sears Center last year.
Right. So, and then this year, looking into it, working with the high school coaches, they want to kind of open it up maybe to our Addison area cheerleaders or something like that, to give them a little bit of an exposure, and then they can kind of see where competition levels are based off of that as well.
This one's for Bill. You know, in reflection of why we got involved in the football program, and, you know, kind of looking at some of the other programs around, and we found that the Villa Park Warriors were a feeder program, which I know you touched on.
Yes.
Thinking maybe we should talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
Because now that my son, who started in the program at 6, will be going into junior high, he's got a big familiarity with that campus, and even one step further going into Willowbrook in the next few years to come.
Yes, sure.
So,
So let's define a feeder program first of all. What does that mean? Well, what that means is the high school, at time to time, Willowbrook, when I say the high school, I mean Willowbrook High School, time to time allows some other programs to use their facilities here and there. But we are recognized by the high school as being a program that directly feeds to them. We prioritize the children that live in this area that will be going to Willowbrook High School, and we pursue them exclusively. We don't pursue anybody outside of Willowbrook's boundaries. So we don't advertise in Elmhurst. We try not to advertise too far west into Lombard, although a small part of Lombard does attend Willowbrook. We don't advertise in Downers Grove. We keep things sort of localized here. We're trying to reach our kids, the kids that are in the Willowbrook area.
you define that by the school districts.
District 45, 48, as well as the private schools that we try to touch, St. Pius, St. John, for the kids that are in the Willowbrook boundary. And the name of is it St. Luke's is the Lutheran?
St. Luke's.
I believe it's St. Luke's is the Lutheran school.
There's St. Luke's, I know there's the St. John Lutheran School right over here.
Yes.
There's St. Pius, which is local. We have had some Sacred Heart people,
Sacred
or
Heart.
St. John from Lombard
Yeah.
as well.
So we keep our marketing local for that. Also along those lines, we do have a great relationship with the high school football staff. They attend our games. We have a direct liaison. The head varsity coach, Nick Hildreth, is our liaison on our board. And like I mentioned earlier, we do store our equipment there, we practice there, we play there, and it builds that familiarity. I've had an older son go all the way through the Warriors program. He started in another program, and when the Warriors were started, we made this flip and came over. And as a result of him being around the building, around the fields, his familiarity with the coaching staff, it allowed him to flow right into high school, know children from other areas that maybe weren't in the school he attended, his middle school or his elementary school, have some built-in friends as he came in, and have some familiarity with the building, and not have that shock of going to a high school of 2,000 children. Pardon me. So it allows him to, allows any child to again, have some familiarity. It allows you to come into high school with some comfort, so to speak, confidence, and allow for them to transition easily. Yes?
You mentioned Willowbrook High School. You're wearing the Willowbrook Warriors jersey, shirt. However, some students go to a parochial high school
Yes.
nearby, Montini, for example.
Yes.
Do you have any coordination with them or discussion with them for the kids that are now feeding that program?
No, we have no official discussions with them. We've had other students that have been in our program for years and years and gone on to play for Fenwick. as well. We had a child that was going to be going to Willowbrook. They moved to the city, is now playing at Notre Dame High School. But no, we do not have any direct contact with them. We truly want to cultivate the relationship with Willowbrook. We try very hard to do that. Flip side of that, the parochial programs in the area contact us from time to time. We do appreciate that they contact us, but we very politely let them know that our relationship is with Willowbrook High School officially, and we keep that strong. And while we appreciate that they might want to come out and see our kids, all we can do is allow them to come to the games. That's public time, and they can come, but not to practices. We will have, Willowbrook coaches can come out to practices. They can come and talk to our kids. They do quite often, a couple times during the year. But we do not entertain other high school programs. So, any others? Anything else I missed? I think that was pretty extensive.
I think you've covered the bases.
Yeah, yeah. The last thing I'll say then is again, check out our website. All the contact information is there. We're going to be having registrations later in May as well as June. We will take your son or daughter all the way up through usually mid-July. Anything after that point is kind of not fair to them. They'll be a little bit too far behind. But all the way up through mid-July. Our first practices of the year for football will be July 23rd. At that point, practice will start. Once school starts, practices go to 3 nights a week. And we'll start playing games, and before you know it, it's November, and we're having a banquet and handing a trophy and taking a lot of pictures and having a good time. And that's about it. So, thank you very much.